Welcome to the latest ISPA Insights, our series of member and partner video interviews, bringing you valuable news and analysis from the booming UK broadband market. Today I have the pleasure to welcome Feka Samakuva, the Director of Networks for Netomnia, and Mark Downey, the Head of Sales in Northern Europe and Africa for EPS Global. Thank you both for joining us today to speak about your collaboration and the future of ISP Networks. Before we kick things off, let me quickly introduce your companies and give a little bit of context to relationships. So EPS Global has been ISPA's open disaggregated solutions partner for close to 2 years. They specialize in solutions that are based on open standard, bare metal hardware with a choice of open software for software-defined networking, visualization, and cloud orchestration. They work with ISPs around the world, helping them to provide more capacity and bandwidth on the network, centralized management, and network automation. Netomnia is the fastest growing network operator specializing in connecting homes and businesses to ultra-fast fiber broadband. Netomnia is investing in its FTTP infrastructure across the UK, building a fast and reliable network to create a sustainable future. Jeremy Cello, Netomnia's CEO, approached EPS Global several years ago about open networking solutions. And over a coffee in Coluccio's near Liverpool Street, he drew his cutting-edge network design for Mark on the back of a napkin. He was interested in taking a disaggregated approach in the design of the network because it would give them the flexibility and agility they needed to support their ambitious growth plans. It's also cost competitive. EPS Global's engineers advised Netomnia on the options available, both on the hardware and software side, and have worked hand in hand with Feka and his team, along with the chosen software vendor in setting up a proof of concept. EPS are now working with Netomnia on the next phase of the network design. So now I'm going to hand over to Mark to ask Feka some key questions around your positive collaboration. Over to you.
Thanks, Nick. Hey, Feka, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. I know you and your team are fairly busy with some ambitious growth plans and deployments at the moment. So with that in mind, I'll jump into a few questions. So, I mean, you and me have been working together for a few years now, but it would be great if you could give us a bit of background on Netomnia and what exactly you do.
So Netomnia, full fiber access network infrastructure provider. We're deploying a full fiber network to homes and businesses in towns and cities up and down the UK. We've been deploying now for just over 2 years. And in that period of time, we've grown to become the fastest network infrastructure provider in the country. We're deploying multi-gigabit services, offering residents and businesses in areas, some of which have been deprived or underprivileged or have not had access to this technology. And now we are playing an important role in being able to drive gigabit connectivity up and down the country.
Okay, great. So, I mean, your rollout plan is to cover 1 million UK premises by 2023. Could you tell us a little bit about how the build is going and what are your main challenges within that that you've encountered through that process?
The build is going very well. We have well over 100,000 premises passed, and we're building in over 25 cities in England, Scotland, and Wales. We're adding premises to the network every month at an ever increasing rate. So, and by the end of the year, we see us being in at least 100 towns and cities across the country. So the build is progressing well. We're very much on target to meet our forecasted goals. But this hasn't come without its challenges. I mean, internally, we've had to grow through some of those growing pains that come with a rapidly growing business. And like many others in the industry, we haven't been immune to some of the economic and political events, such as global supply chain issues, geopolitical issues, or general resource scarcity. But we have a very experienced and dynamic team, and we've been able to cope really well. We have also fairly early on sought to form strong relationships with our partners like EPS Global. And we've leveraged those relationships to be able to overcome some of the challenges I mentioned earlier. Now, yes, we are very much aiming to connect 1 million homes by 2023, and we're very much focused on that target. But Mark, you know us well, very ambitious. And when we consider the team that we have, the partners that we're working with, like EPS Global, and the product that we're delivering, our ambitions go beyond 1 million homes. And we see no reason why we can't connect 2 million premises by the end of 2024.
Great, yeah. Always impressed by the numbers and the amount of areas that you guys are working in and the towns and cities around the UK. So it's extremely ambitious and good to hear that it's all going reasonably well so far. I mean, it'd be good you mentioned EPS Global, it'd be good to get a little bit about how you think EPS Global are supporting that deployment.
EPS Global supporting our deployment in a number of ways. Like our other key partners, EPS Global, through their industry know-how and understanding of our business, have been able to provide practical and cost-effective solutions which have helped to accelerate our rollout. EPS have matched our dynamism and enterprise with flexibility and foresight. Their knowledge of the industry and market trends have really helped us mitigate some of the issues that I mentioned earlier. For example, securing supply chains, so to ensure that key components that are part of our active network deployment continue to be delivered on time, and to allow us as Netomnia to be able to deliver against our aggressive build program.
Okay, great. I mean, you're using the open disaggregated solutions over traditional solutions. Are you able to expand on what kind of challenges that has helped you overcome by using the disaggregated solutions?
Yeah, so disaggregate solution, going down a disaggregated path was very much part of sort of early on in the ethos of the business and how we were going to operate. I mean, we're very technology-driven company, and we were quite attracted by the flexibility and choice offered by disaggregated solutions. This greater openness and in design and lower costs have allowed us to leverage new technologies and innovate a lot faster and be more cost-effective.
That's true. I agree with that. There's definitely a faster rate of innovation in this space, which is great for companies like you. I mean, Netomnia is quite an innovative company, and we've seen that through dealing with you. So, I mean, what would you say gives you your competitive edge?
Now, I can't reveal a recipe to the secret sauce, Mark, but
of course.
I will say is that we're very technology focused, as I mentioned, but we're also people focused. I think there's a unique spirit within the company that's a bit hard to put into words. I mean, it's not just that we have highly driven people, passionate people in the business, but there's a real and palpable sense of innovation and optimism in what we're doing by everyone in the company, which I think sets us apart. We want to try new things. We want to be open to working with a broad range of people and companies. We want to take engineering principles and advancements in automation and programmability to not only improve operational efficiency, but to actually improve the satisfaction that people get from doing what they're doing. And I'm not just talking in terms of the active network, which I'm responsible for, but you see this across the board within our company and with the partners that we work with. And I think that's what gives us that competitive edge.
That's interesting, yeah. I mean, technology is important, but the culture within a company, it's good to hear you talking about that. People make the business. So yeah, that's interesting.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks for that, Feka.
I was just going to come in with a couple of quick questions at the end, a bit more opening them up. First one is, how can the vendor community make a difference in the race to bring nationwide gigabit broadband by 2030?
It's a very good question. I think from our experience, it's very much important for vendors to work collaboratively with network operators to overcome many of the challenges that are inherent in a rollout, such as the one that we're currently involved in, be it from community engagement to product selection. I mean, across the board, I think it's important that we work closely together in that spirit of partnership to be able to add real value and integrity to the infrastructure that we're deploying. I think if the experience of the past couple of years have taught us anything, is that the importance of working collaboratively with other people to be able to achieve our goals. Ultimately, this is not a zero-sum game. And so for us in Netomnia, we think it's very important to embed our partners within our business to foster understanding and build confidence. So we see our vendors as very much an important part of driving the success of our business.
Very good. Well, if I may, I'm going to ask Mark the same question as a vendor. Where do you see your role being in this to help the market?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to some of Feka's points earlier on. I mean, we entered into the world of open networking or disaggregation a long time ago. We saw that as the future here. We started to work with this several years ago, and the market was in its infancy in that space. I mean, you're going up against some of the bigger, more well-known vendors, but we keep trying to put the message out there that it is a good option. It's something to look at. And Netomnia is a good example of a company that have these deployed in their network and it is working well. And our plan as a company is to stay innovative, to stay at the leading edge of the market, and to keep that, to ask questions of the industry. What can we do differently and how can we do it? And that involves, from an EPS perspective, knowing about the technology, what's coming down the line, and then having open conversations with our customers about what's coming. And we can easily say what we think is bad as well as good. And I think those open relationships with the customers have served us well. And it's resulted in some good partnerships with ourselves and our customers globally.
One final question from me. Obviously, 2030 is quite a long way off still. The last year or two of the market has matured quite a lot. Where do you both see the market in the next, say, 4 or 5 years' time? Feka, if you want to kick off with that one.
Yeah. Very, very interesting question. I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball, and by no means a futurologist, but I think, broadly speaking, we'll see a shift in focus in the industry from rollout to services. I think we'll continue to see higher bandwidth requirements from consumers, and this will be partly driven by new applications and an increasing number of connected devices and over-the-top services. And so from an operator perspective, I think we will see an increase in the demand for higher bandwidth broadband packages, and the need for high bandwidth capable technologies like XGS-PON, which Netomnia are currently deploying, but even looking at 25 gig PON or 50 gig PON, which is really excites us here at Netomnia. And lastly, I think we'll see the leveraging of the fiber that we've laid in the ground by most likely an increase in 5G penetration, and possibly even the early adoption of 6G technologies, which is starting to create a buzz now.
Can you get your crystal ball out?
I wish I could, yeah. I mean, it is as straightforward as that bandwidth is going to increase as we go forward. And we sit down with our vendors and we look at their roadmaps. They're bringing out switches, 400 gig, 800 gig, everything down the line. We as a value add distributor, and what we do is our relationships with our vendors are as important as our relationships with our customers. And we're seeing a lot more niche vendors coming into the market in the open space around, say, OLTs and devices like that. So there is more players in this market, and I think they'll offer a better selection to customers like Feka. And yeah, the bandwidth is just going to continue to grow and grow. We're going to try, the customer base is going to grow as well, of customers out there rolling out fiber. So our plan is to match that and give them a flexible and interesting selection of vendors, which is happening at the moment in the market for them to be able to develop their businesses.
Very good. Well, thank you. Listen, I wish both your companies the greatest success, EPS Global and Netomnia. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to join us on the Insights program at ISPA. And yeah, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much. Thank you.